What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Iron Faith wrestling coaching call. I'm here to answer any questions you guys might have. Sorry, I was running a few minutes late. Just finished up Virginia Beach National Duels this past weekend. Brought down an elementary, middle school, high school team. Kids wrestled tough. A lot of things to work on. So excited to get back to that. Get back to the grind. Yeah, post your questions in the chat. I'll answer them. I'm gonna go through the online academy right now and answer anybody's questions that already got posted. Igor asked, "What are the best approaches to escaping a front headlock?" So, front headlock offense and defense is one of the most important positions in wrestling. The most important positions are front headlock, single leg, so on a leg. Those are the two most, I would say. The two most important positions that you need to get good at are front headlock offense and defense, and on one leg, whether your head's in the outside or inside, finishing and defending the shot. So what's the best way to defend a front headlock? When somebody has a front headlock, they normally have one hand wrapped around your head. They're holding, I'll back up a little bit. They're holding your head with one hand. The opposite hand is on your tricep. The hand that's around your head, you want to reach up and control as high up into the armpit as possible. This makes it very difficult for your opponent to circle behind because their arm is trapped underneath your chest. When you go to reach up for this, you want to get, like I said, as high as possible into the armpit. Some people think it's grabbing the elbow. It's not grabbing the elbow. It's reaching up into the armpit, pulling that arm in, and pulling it in so tight that your tricep gets glued to your side. So that's what you're doing with one hand. The opposite hand is posted on the mat because a lot of people, they'll hold on to their opponent's wrist and they'll stay all balled up. And their opponent will get behind because they're so balled up that it's very easy to reach around the person, cradle them, grab their ankle, get behind. So you want to make sure when you reach up to grab the tricep that your body's really big. You're posted on your opposite hand. You're up off the mat. You're not curled up in a ball. Next thing you want to have with your front headlock defense, you want to make sure your opposite leg, so if I have the tricep with my left arm, that left leg is up and I'm pivoting into my opponent. And then it gets pretty detailed, but that is the best way to get out. Control the arm, step the same leg up, circle into the person, work your head up, and circle out to your feet. I'll post the front headlock video in the chat just in case anybody else that wants to see more detail on the front headlock. I think it's not in front headlock. It's in, I think it's called shot. I think I have my shot recovery video. So yeah, this one. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to copy this video in the chat. So you guys, if you want to learn more about that front headlock, getting out of front headlock, you can check that shot recovery video out. Chuck said, great video on the bottom position. Might want to do a video showing what to do when flattened out. Yeah, I think that's super important. If you guys didn't see my last video on escaping from the bottom position, I just think it's very important to understand bottom because it's been taught the wrong way by most coaches. There's a couple techniques that coaches will tell their athletes to do that is very incorrect. I don't think you hear coaches saying stuff like shoot with your head down. So that's not really something I have to emphasize too much. But a lot of coaches teach get wrist control on bottom. They teach move a lot on bottom. I hear a lot of coaches yell cross face when defending a shot. Those are the three probably biggest things I hear coaches yell that really messes their athletes up. When you're on bottom, you do not want to control wrists. You want to keep your hands free. You want to get to your feet, stay on your feet. I mean, I have the whole video on it. I'm sure most of you guys already saw it, but I really want to make a video on that. I should probably make a video on crossface too, because everyone teaches to crossface, and you hear it from all the coaches, crossface when somebody's shooting in on you. There's some situations where you do it, but most of the time when you crossface from a shot defense, you pick your opponent's head up and you actually help them fix their posture and finish the takedown. So I'm against cross-facing almost 100% of the time. All right, David said, for a tall wrestler, who is better, what's better, a Russian tie or an underhook? I think a Russian tie is better. I've noticed taller wrestlers struggle with underhooks because their arms are so long that when they get an underhook, they have trouble fighting the overhook pressure. So the person that you're wrestling has an overhook and they're going to crank down on your elbow. And because your arm is so long, you have a lot of wrestlers that are taller have trouble raising the underhook up. So I think a Russian tie might be a better tie-up. I think collar tie is probably the best tie-up for a taller wrestler. Let's see what other questions we got in the online academy. Matthew is asking, how do I wrestle out of a split position? So frequently you'll see athletes get into a split when their opponent hits a single leg on them. The biggest key from that position is attacking your opponent's hands. So as you're in the split and they're trying to lift your leg up, you're using your hands to attack their grips to get your leg free. Yeah, Chuck saying Seth Gross has a technique on bottom where he does control the wrist. There are some people who do. So I definitely when I teach, most stuff I'm teaching is not going to be, I may not include everything, but yeah, there was who did it? The NC State wrestler that won at 133 or 141. He tried to kind of grab wrists on bottom. So you see it sometimes, but I think, what I was getting at with escaping from bottom and not going for wrist control is, in general, especially for beginners, I recommend not doing it, because I think it's far more difficult if you attack the wrist when you're on bottom because of getting re-wristed, and a lot of people need their hands to stand up. David asks, why collar tie is better than Russian tie? I think Russian tie is harder to get to. And I'm not sure. I mean, a big thing with and it's just me guessing, I think the Russian tie is harder tie to get to than a collar tie. I think I also notice most Olympic level, national level wrestlers go to collar tie over Russian tie. So it's more popular for some reason. I think it's because it's super easy to get to. So that's kind of where I go. I think the collar tie is I just see it more popular. And it's great for tall wrestlers because your arm is so long. You see a lot of people hit ankle picks from there. Obviously, if you're a tall wrestler, that's a great shot. And I've just noticed a lot of tall wrestlers over the years using the collar tie position. David Taylor being one of them. But I think mainly to set up your ankle picks. But and a Russian tie would be fine though. Maybe do both. Work a little bit of both. All your coaches should know the ins and outs of collar ties. Yeah, collar tie is important. Yeah, easier to move someone from a collar tie. I guess my biggest thought was just collar tie is easier to get to. You just grab their neck, right? So I think it's probably one of the best tie-ups in wrestling. Collar tie. Probably better than an inside tie where you grab the tricep, because I think the inside tie is kind of hard to get to against a good wrestler because they're constantly digging in. But grabbing somebody's neck is kind of easy. Collar tie is kind of easy to get to. All right, David's asking, who is a good wrestler to study his style? I mean, if we're going with the tall wrestler thing, David, I think David Taylor is probably the best lanky wrestler out there. What would you say is the biggest thing about being consistent with beating good wrestlers? I mean, in general, there's a couple things. I think, like, if you're lacking consistency, sometimes it's a mental thing, meaning like some days you wrestle really good, some days you wrestle really bad. So I think doing things like getting a warm-up routine in, I personally like distracting myself throughout a tournament or even before a duel, like not thinking about the match. I hang out with my teammates, I eat, I relax, but I don't think about the wrestling until I get very close to the match, because I think it gets very tiring and difficult to think about a match for hours or days before. So I would look into more of that mental side. If you guys wanted to, we have a mindset course inside the Iron Faith Video Vault. I know some of you guys are already members, but I put some stuff in there that I think is super valuable on the mindset part of wrestling. If you want a great person for a Russian tie, yeah, Russian tie, PJ Duke. Yeah, I wouldn't say Russian tie is a specific tall wrestler thing. My point earlier was that I think it's better than an underhook was more my thing for a taller wrestler. I think you see a lot of shorter wrestlers, stronger wrestlers doing the underhook. My brother Steven, his brother-in-law Gabriel Boysu, he's very good at the Russian tie. Very weird style. I'll see if I can find a video for you guys. He's wrestling at Cornell, like taking a redshirt year. I'll post one of his videos in there if you guys want to see somebody from a Russian tie. I don't know when he. I don't know. You can look him up. I'll put his name. This is his name if you want somebody that does the Russian tie a lot. Slide by more effective when you're taller. I don't know if it's that big of an advantage. I think like with the slide by, one of the most common slide bys is where you have a collar tie with one hand and you drape over top with the other hand. And when you push them in the neck, if you're taller, you can probably extend the person easier. We have a whole slide by video. So again, it's hard to fully explain it through this. But you can extend them. Yeah, you can extend them easier, but there might be some difficulty because you're kind of further away to hit the slide by. But I think it depends on the slide by. There's a bunch of different slide bys. You can find one that works for your size. I'll put the slide by video. I'll put the slide by video in the chat as well. You can like save that for later. All these videos are organized inside my free online academy as well. So if you guys aren't part of the free online academy, make sure you join that. You can post your questions there all throughout the week. Next two videos we got coming out. I did a video on how I would learn to wrestle if I started over. And then I just did a video on hand fighting, another hand fighting video. So those will be coming out at some point. I think like attacking low on the leg works pretty well for taller wrestlers. I think I see it pretty often. Ankle pick, low single, outside head low single, or head on the outside low single. Front headlock position I think is great for taller wrestlers because you have reach and you can get around them easier. So that's like, those are some examples. But I mean, you get to a single leg, pick it up, you'll do well with that too. What do you think is the best way to clear hands? Is that in neutral? Clearing hands, is that in neutral? Is that in bottom? Neutral. It's with a chop. So say you like your collar tie, right? We're telling you, I think, no, it's somebody else. Yeah. Say you like a collar tie and your opponent's thumb blocking you. A thumb block is where you reach over and you put your hand like this and you push onto their shoulder. In order to clear that, you're going to let go of the collar tie, swing your arm around, and just karate chop the person's arm off. And then re-get your grip. When you chop and clear an arm off, you want to do it low towards the wrist to help. It's easier to get the arm off when you do that. If you chop at their elbow will bend and absorb some of that force, and it'll be difficult to snap their hand free. I would look at the hand fighting video we have inside the free online academy. That's what I would take a look at if you're having trouble. And there's a section on clearing ties to get more details on that. Let's see what else we got inside the online academy. I think some people get too caught up on the taller or shorter thing. There's some things I think to look out for. Like, and it depends on what extreme you're at. If you're very, very tall or very, very short, I would think about it more. But if you're in some sort of range of like normal, a couple inches shorter, a couple inches taller, you don't have to worry too much about that. But there are some things that, if I was really short and I was wrestling somebody way taller than me, I would attack the hips, like a high crotch or a double. I wouldn't shoot low to the leg because it's hard to finish against a taller person like that. So there's some little things like that. But you can pick it and choose a lot of your technique, regardless of your size, though. When you do chop, don't put your hips in and stand up. In your stance, so you don't get blast doubled. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you chop and clear off these hands, when they have thumb blocks on you, you clear off the inside ties, the collar ties. When you clear them off, you want to stay in a stance as you're doing that. Does weight matter a lot? It matters a good amount. Strength probably matters more, not just your size. Yeah, I think strength is really important. I don't know how much, like, weights are kind of important. What is your opinion on movement efficiency when it comes to picking your spots and not spazzing out during the first period? The thought that I have going through my head when I step out on the mat is hand fight to my tie-up and then attack. So I quote-unquote spaz out when I'm hand fighting. I'm being very aggressive, getting to my tie-up, but I'm not overextending myself and shooting on a bunch of bad shots. I'm hand fighting super hard, getting my tie-up. Once I have my tie-up, I'm then dropping into the shot. So that, I think, sending more of your effort on the hand fighting will allow you to still go really hard, but not open yourself up to get scored on. How often do you recommend competing during the off season? I think you can compete as much as you want. It depends. I mean, if I haven't wrestled, if I was newer to wrestling, I'd compete more. If I was, if I've been wrestling my whole life, I don't think it's that necessary to compete a crazy amount. But I think a lot of times, if you were newer to wrestling and you started maybe your freshman, sophomore year, and you want to get better faster, I think competing can give you a lot of feedback. So twice a month. That's my general recommendation, twice a month during the off season. If you're wrestling a stronger, faster opponent, but your style is aggressive, do you switch to the defensive style to counter, or do you stay the same? I normally don't switch styles. If someone is more aggressive than me, I will add fakes on them to slow them down. So normally I'm the more aggressive one, but this guy's coming at me. He's attacking me. He's beating me in the hand fight. He's faking a bunch of times. As this is happening, I'm going to add in fakes of my own to make him start down blocking and reacting instead of just controlling the hand fight. So my recommendation, if I was wrestling somebody stronger, faster, I would use fakes to help slow them down and set up my shot. We've got about 9 more minutes, you guys. I'm here to answer any questions you guys have. And if you enjoy these coaching calls, we do bi-weekly coaching calls inside the video vault, which is more personal. You can hop on. It's more of a Google Meet, FaceTime style, where you can, you could pull up an old video if you want to get it reviewed. We can talk about anything that you're specifically dealing with instead of, kind of having as many people. But I'll post a link to the video vault for those who aren't, part of that yet. Okay, let's see what else we got. If you have a set style you always use, you shouldn't change it for one match because you might not be as used to it and put yourself a step behind. Yeah, I believe that. I 100% agree. You don't want to change your style based on from match to match. You can get, I think throughout a match, you can get strategic. What I mean by that is if you're up by points, you may shut it down and stop attacking the last 30 seconds, right? Play defense. Like it's normally if I'm up by points, or if I was down by points, I might be even more aggressive. So some of those things all might change. Another thing I look for changing in a match is if I get caught with something, I may not go there again. So if I shoot a high crotch and the guy sits the corner on me, okay, I know next time I hit this shot, I'm more prepared for that. Sit in the corner, say I hit the shot again, I try to stop sitting in the corner, I still get scored on. Okay, maybe I go front headlock or single. So there are some adjustments you want to make, but you don't want to be like, oh, this guy's more aggressive than me, I'm going to wrestle a whole different match. All right, we got greetings from Romania. I watch your channel always. When I need to get back to the basics of technique. A question, I'm nearly 30. What do you do when approach this age, motivation, depression about? I guess I'm close to 30. I'm 28. I mean, I think you just got to understand why you're doing it. If you're doing it just to stay in shape, maybe do jiu-jitsu instead. I don't know. It's tough. Wrestling's super tough as you get older. Like, I wouldn't be able to, I do this for a living. I wouldn't be able to train every single day as hard as I used to, I come in, I wrestle live with my guys maybe a few times a week, but there's no purpose for me to get better at wrestling myself necessarily. The only time I go and wrestle is because I'm trying to help my athletes get better. So I want to wrestle them to give them a certain feel or push them a little harder. Yeah, 28 years young, 100%. Just starting here. So figure out why, Alex, though, figure out why you want to do it in the first place. Are you doing it for just to stay in shape? Perfect. Do you have a certain goal? You want to go to a competition? Okay. So just pick think about that more as you're feeling, depressed or having trouble with the motivation side. Yeah, C. Hanlon, you got to focus up, man. Matthew's been on that grind. He's been wrestling a lot. He's getting real good. He's going to crush it next year. Who are the best wrestling YouTubers to watch to get better? I think, besides myself, right? I mean, if you're looking at, depends on what you're looking for. There's Earn Your Gold has like breakdowns. I think Kyler Larkin's really good for motivation. I think if you're a high school kid and you watch, some of my wrestlers watch Kyler Larkin, and I think might be a freshman in college or redshirting, but my wrestlers get inspired, like hearing that kid's story on how he would, maybe went to Super 32 his 8th grade year or middle school, and they all got beat up. And then, a couple years later, they were all placing and winning Super 32. And that inspired, one of my wrestlers, Ben, to, put in more work and believe that he could do it. So I think that's a great one for motivation, Kyler Larkin. Earn Your Gold does a good job of showing other people hitting the technique. Like, he kind of just like talks over people hitting their systems. My biggest thing with you guys, training online, is make sure you're continuing to build your wrestling system as you do that. So don't just keep picking random moves and just doing them. Oh, today I'm going to do this weird arm drag fireman's thing. I'm going to add that. It's like, you need to write down what you actually do and make sure as you go seek out more information, you're adding it to what you already do. And this goes not only for people that are learning from online, but if you're going to multiple clubs, you have multiple coaches, even your high school or your club coach telling you different things, you need to take it upon yourself to make sure you're staying on top of that. Because if one of your coaches is telling you to do leg riding and the other coach is telling you to do arm bars, if you don't decide which one you're going to do and you don't know what type of wrestler you are, you're going to have trouble improving. So make sure as you guys go and search out technique. That's why I try to do these more long form technique videos, and on certain topics, you guys really go and master the positions that you guys want to be good at. Why is it that there are wrestlers I know who lift more than me in the weight room, but once we start wrestling, I overpower them, even though they lift more and weigh the same? I mean, it just doesn't fully translate. Some people don't know how to like use their strength. I mean, I don't even feel necessarily super strong all the time. I wrestle a little looser where I'm not like really tight. Some kids feel super strong even though they're not like, can't lift a lot, because they're super stiff. So they'll like squeeze onto you like this and they feel really strong, but they're just flexing the whole time. So that's something. Alex says, I remember watching guys like John Smith, or if you like catch wrestling, Billy Robinson. Those were the days. Yeah, John Smith's got some stuff on there that's definitely good. What do you think, other than wrestling, is the best way to improve your gas tank? I think at the end of wrestling practices, doing some sort of cardio is the best way to increase your cardio. So at the end of wrestling practice, do 10 sprints. Go hop on a bike and do a bike match. Bike match is meaning like whatever, sprint for 2 minutes straight, 3 rounds, right? Swimming's good. Swimming's good for recovery too. Like, it's not hard on the joints compared to running. I don't like running. We would always do that for our preseason. Part of the cardio is getting mentally tougher, just so you guys know. Like, part of the cardio is pushing yourself to a point where you want to quit and you just get mentally tougher. Whether your actual like oxygen intake or however cardio is actually measured improves, if your mentality gets stronger, you're gonna do a lot better. Yeah, I used to swim. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's like my cardio improved a lot from one practice where my coach broke me mentally and made me push harder. And like literally the next day I was just mentally stronger and I could go a lot harder and not give up. I also have certain things like mental things where I think it's embarrassing to give up. So I don't think it's that embarrassing to lose. That's not, to me, that's not really that embarrassing. It's embarrassing to give up though. And it's what you see from, if you're sitting on the sideline and your teammate is wrestling and they lose and they were fighting super hard, nobody thinks differently about you. If you like gave up and like let the guy pin you, just gave up, then to me that's embarrassing. So that actually helps me to go harder. So if you don't want to be a loser and give up, then like, I don't know, don't give up. All right, you guys, that's all I got for today. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, 1 o'clock, answer all your questions. Make sure you join the free online academy if you haven't. I'll post that in the chat real quick before I drop out, but it's on the description of like almost every single one of my videos. And see you guys next week.